How do you answer long answer questions like a top scorer? This is a question that I often get asked, and people don't really follow super structured approaches as to how you answer short answer questions. And I think that as a tutor, I've sort of gleaned over the years a really good foolproof strategy. Now, my first tip with any short answer question is analyze the terminology in the question. Now, that's pretty obvious, but what I'm really looking for is, are you looking for words like evaluate, compare, discuss? Because all of these require different things. If it's evaluate, you want to look at pros and cons. If it's discuss, you might want to expand on one thing. And if it's, for example, outline or list, you might be looking for breadth rather than depth, right? So there's a lot of intelligence that goes into actually analyzing each question terminology, right? The next thing that you really want to focus on is dot points. All SAQs should really be dot points. Unless it's a one marker, you always want dot points. Now, I advocate for dot points for one of two reasons. Firstly, it's very outlined, it's very linear, it's very easy to follow. But secondly, it forces you to think in a categorical and sort of logical way. You're like, okay, I have to talk in discrete pieces of information, and that forces you to think in a much more structured manner. And it also pushes you to think about the mark scheme. If it's 4 marks, you're like, intrinsically, I have to do 4 points. But if it was just one big paragraph, you would have lost sight of that. So that's another very important thing. My third tip is screening your answer for keywords at the very end. In every certain topic, there are kind of important keywords that you find over and over again. So for example, for equilibrium, you might be thinking about Le Chatelier's principle, partially oppose the change, net forward reaction, preferred reaction, right? Shifting to the right, shifting to the left, that kind of thing. And you want to internalize that. And obviously in my chem course, I give you guys the keywords, but over time you want to try building that and use that in your answers. Look at your answer, be like, okay, did I list the topic's major words? And you want to do that for each of your dot points. This is an even better checking strategy. And the fourth thing, and the way that you really get to perfection, is you internalize some of the major questions that you often get asked. So a lot of questions will kind of ask you about what is the effect of X on the equilibrium position. This is kind of what you call a common long answer question. They can be manipulated for a lot of different compounds or different changes, right? But you can memorize the overall structure as to how you would go about that question. So for example, my first thing might be talking about the effect on Le Chatelier's principle. Second, what direction the reaction moves in. And third, how that affects the final concentrations of the compounds on either side of the equation. So I'm internalizing the structures to solve the most common 4 to 5 markers, or 3 to 5 markers rather, and that will help me save a lot of time, but also just kind of smash out the easy marks that come again and again, because VCAA does repeat their question styles, right? So that is one of the most effective strategies to kind of build a bit of cumulative excellence in short answer questions. And if you follow all these strategies and you internalize the keywords and the structures, and you also have a really solid dot point strategy, and as well as that, a question answering, like you know how to read the question and what it asks for, where can you go wrong? And so that is my secret to success for short answer questions.